today.
Showing a video that tells the story of what was going on in the Trump White House on election night in November of 2020.
Do you remember where you were on the night of the election, November the 3rd?
I was
Yes, I'll be
at the
playing
White House.
Corey later today.
You know where specifically over the course of that night you spent your time within the White House?
There was an event that was organized in the residence, so I moved between the residence, a room sort of off the residence where some family members were.
I take it the president was upstairs in the residence.
He was upstairs. We were kind of on the first floor, so not upstairs. We were with mostly with Ivanka and her brothers and a couple other people who'd be coming in and out.
Can you just describe the atmosphere? What were people expecting that night when you got to the White House?
I think that there was, typically for people who show up there on election night, it's going to be a self-select, more positive environment. I think people were a little bit nervous, not knowing what was going to happen with the red wave or the red mirage as the debate was being carried out.
The Fox News Decision Desk is calling Arizona for Joe Biden. That is a big get for the Biden campaign.
Arizona's called. Do you remember that?
I do.
What do you remember happening?
All I'm seeing are a bunch of fucking phonies, dude. So many fake friends. Not a single person fucking riding or dying for Trump. Saying stuff like, no, I think it's very cool that he just kept saying he won and that he had good reason to think that he had won. Everyone is just like fucking immediately dropping him like a bad habit, dude. Fake friends. If I was Trump, I'd be pissed too. All around me, dude. Fucking rats.
Where you were when Arizona was called.
There was surprise at the call.
Who was surprised?
Most everyone in the room.
Were you being one of them?
Yes.
Did that shift the atmosphere or the attitude in the White House?
Jason Miller.
Completely.
How so? Can you describe that?
Because Fox News was the first one to go out and say that.
So was it anger kind of directed towards Fox News for making a call more so than like disappointment that maybe the campaign lost Arizona?
All the above.
So both anger and disappointment.
Both disappointed with Fox and concerned that maybe our data or our numbers weren't accurate.
Were you in the White House residence during the sort of past midnight into the early morning hours of November 4th?
Yes, oh sure. It went over beyond midnight, yes.
Do you remember Rudy Giuliani being at the White House on election night and into the early hours the next morning?
I do.
What do you remember about when he came?
He was I had heard that he was upstairs, in that aforementioned reception area, and he was looking to talk to the president, and it was suggested instead that he come talk to several of us down off the map room.
You said that you had heard that Mr. Giuliani wanted to talk to the president, and then he was directed your way. Did you end up talking to Mr. Giuliani when he was directed your way?
I did.
What was that conversation?
A lot of conversations were directed my way. A few of us, myself, Jason Miller, Justin Clark, and Mark Meadows, gathered in a room off the map room to listen to whatever Rudy presumably wanted to say to the president.
Was there anyone in that conversation who, in your observation, had too much to drink?
Like Mayor Giuliani.
Tell me more about that. What was your observation about his potential intoxication during that discussion about what the president should say when he's addressed the nation on election night?
And the mayor was definitely intoxicated, but I do not know his level of intoxication when he spoke with the president, for example.
Were you part of any discussions with?
I mean, what the fuck could happen? Like, I mean, or what did we expect to happen? We made Donald Trump president. Of course, he's gonna have like fucking drunk Giuliani guiding the conversation that led to January 6th. It's so funny.
The people I mentioned, Mr. Steffi, Mr. Meadows, or anyone else, about whether the president should make any sort of speech on election night?
I mean, I spoke to the president. They may have been present, but president spoke to the president several times that night.
There were suggestions.
Also, I respect Giuliani for still like getting fucking hammered and stuff at his age. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, think about that, dude. He's so fucking old and he's still getting blasted. Respect.
By
and you know, fair is fair. Nancy Pelosi's husband as well.
I believe it was Mayor Giuliani to go and declare victory and say that we won it outright.
It was far too early to be making any calls like that. Ballots were still being counted. Ballots were still going to be counted for days. And it was far too early to be making any proclamation like that.
I remember saying that to the best of my memory, and I was saying that we should not go and declare victory until we had a better sense of the numbers.
Okay, can you be more specific about that conversation, in particular what Mayor Giuliani said, your response, and then anybody else in the room's response?
I think effectively Mayor Giuliani was saying, we won it. They're stealing it from us. Where'd all the votes come from? We need to go say that we won. And essentially that anyone who didn't agree with that position was being weak.
What was your view at the time as to what he should or shouldn't say?
I don't know that I had a firm view as to what he should say in that circumstance. The results were still being counted. It was becoming clear that the race would not be called on election night.
My belief, my recommendation was to say that votes were still being counted. It's too early to tell, too early to call the race. But you know, we proud of the race we ran, and we, you know, think we're in good position, and we'll have more to say about this, you know, the next day or the next day, whenever we had something to say.
And did anybody who was a part of that conversation disagree with your message?
Yes.
Who was that?
The president disagreed with that. I don't recall the particular words. He thought I was wrong. He told me so, and you know, that they were gonna, you know, go in a you know, he was gonna go in a different direction.
Wrong.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Dude, it's so wild. Like, this is America, dude. Sick. Like, it just, you could just be like, nah, I didn't fucking lose, dude. Nope, didn't happen, actually. And then there's enough people that will literally believe you and then do stuff. Cool. That's awesome. That's cool. And for the record, I mean, it's perfect. It's so quintessentially American to just be a fucking sore loser. and work at the behest of like a annoying fucking con man who is being a sore loser. I love that. It's great.
Mr. Stywart, did
back in a second. Hold
President
on.
Trump have any basis to declare victory on November 4th, 2020? Thank you. Mr. Stepien also testified that President Trump had no basis for declaring victory at that point in time.
My belief, my recommendation was to say that votes were still being counted. It's too early to tell. Too early to call the race, but you know, we proud of the race we ran, and we, you know, think we're in good position, and we'll have more to say about this, you know, the next day or the next day, whenever we had something to say.
Thank you. Mr. Stywart, after the votes were counted, who won the presidential election of 2020?
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. of the great state of Delaware.
Thank you. That's the bottom line. We've had an election. Mr. Trump lost, but he refused to accept the results of the democratic process. Pursuant to Section 5C8 of House Resolution 503, I now recognize the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Lofgren, for questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Stywart, I'd like you to explain a term that was thrown around a lot during the election, and that's the so-called red mirage. What does that mean?
So,
That's it. Democrats vote early. Republicans vote on the day of. Some states, like Pennsylvania, literally are like, no, we're not going to fucking count early. We're going to release those numbers later. We're going to count the people that are voting the day of. And that's pretty much it. That's it. It's like, and people go, oh my God, we're winning. And then they go, oh my God, we're losing now. What the fuck is happening? It is a well-documented phenomena that has been around for a very long time, just only exacerbated by COVID provisions, okay? COVID safety measures. And Donald Trump running fucking rampage on like telling Republicans not to vote until the day of and not to vote early. Like, you can't, I mean, I guess they did it on purpose. But that's it. That's the whole point. And they're fucking so stupid that, like, this is even an argument. They're just so, oh God, it makes me kind of mad.
40 or 50 years, let's say, that Americans have increasingly chosen to vote by mail or early or absentee, Democrats prefer that method of voting more than Republicans do. So basically, in every election, Republicans win election day and Democrats win the early vote. And then you wait and start counting, and it depends on which ones you count first, but usually it's election day votes that get counted first. And you see the Republicans shoot ahead, and then the process of bailing and binding and unbinding all those mail-in votes. And some states like Pennsylvania refuse to count the votes first, so you have to wait for all of that to come in. So in every election, and certainly a national election, you expect to see the Republican with a lead, but it's not really a lead. When you put together a jigsaw puzzle, it doesn't matter which piece you put in first, it ends up with the same image. So for us, who cares? But that's because no candidate had ever tried to avail themselves of this quirk in the election counting system. We had gone to pains, and I'm proud of the pains we went to make sure that we were informing viewers that this was going to happen, because the Trump campaign and the president had made it clear that they were going to try to exploit this anomaly. And we knew it was going to be bigger because the percentage of early votes was higher, right? We went from about 45% of the votes being early and absentee to, because of the pandemic, that increased by about 50%. So we knew it would be longer, we knew it would be more. So we wanted to keep telling viewers, hey, look, the number that you see here is sort of irrelevant because it's only a small percentage of these votes.
Why are you so dismissive of this precedent for a fascist takeover? What do you mean? Why am I so dismissive of this precedent? Dude, are you not seeing America like in front of your fucking eyes? Are you just like closing your eyes and ears every other day and then only fucking looking at this moment? Because this isn't the only part of the fucking fascist takeover, okay? Like, you're literally looking at the tip of the iceberg and going, man, that sure looks fucking bad. Like, what's gonna happen ultimately, you think, from these talks, these committee hearings? What are you gonna do about it? What is Congress gonna do about this? Like, I know fascist takeovers, a bunch of rich rednecks now. I mean, but it is okay. I'm not undermining it either. Like, don't act like, what do you, come on, dude. What do you fucking think that, like, they don't make up the historic fucking fascist takeovers? Small business owners and alongside the lumpen proles? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That is exactly who does the fascist takeover. They could adopt a resolution strongly condemning these actions. Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly the people that do it. Don't misunderstand me. Like, this is the things that happened on January 6th are significant, okay? It didn't turn into a larger problem than it didn't turn into a larger problem partially because, like, they targeted like a very weird part of it. They literally did nothing. They roamed around for a couple hours. That doesn't mean anything. Just because the attempt in and of itself was like done at like the worst position possible with like no meaningful success strategy behind it doesn't change the reality that like they were still able to effectively walk into the halls of Congress. You know what I mean? A failed coup attempt is still a coup attempt. You know what I mean? You don't go, oh man, like 600 times they try to fucking kill Castro, but, you know, they failed, so I guess we shouldn't count those. You're a fucking ML. I'm sure you love bringing that shit up all the time. Okay, right? That's like saying a failed bank robbery doesn't count because you didn't get any money. Yeah.
So this red mirage, that's really what you expected to happen on election night.
Happens every time.
Thank you, Mr. Stirewall.
I think one of the more important things one of the most important takeaways from something like this is that how well fascists can fucking organize. How well and how easily fascists can organize, and how much support they get from the structures that are supposed to like maintain a semblance of law and order. Because they are incredibly, they're well organized, they're well funded, they're doing malicious shit all the goddamn time. They got people in the police force, they got people that are off-duty cops. Like, all this stuff is trying to kill Castro equals goofball stealing Pelosi's lectern. No, brother. The point is, just because you're not fucking, you're taking your eye from the prize here, okay? You're not understanding how terrifying it is that motherfuckers can so easily organize and do like a massive militia movement and can be backed by the actual fucking president and engage in like violent actions that would otherwise get fucking people literally melted, okay? In any other circumstance. If you can't comprehend that that's like legitimately fucking terrifying, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's true. It is. Like, I don't think, when people say like this is 9/11 times 2, like, yeah, obviously that's fucking dumb as shit. Like, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't care about the sanctity of the halls of Congress. Like, I don't give a fuck. They can suck my dick, okay? Like, fuck politicians in general. But The idea that like a bunch of fucking psychotic like weekend warriors can get together with zip ties, guns, where there's like a bomb threat happening on simultaneously in different parts like of Capitol Hill. I mean, that's wild. That's a wild fucking situation. You can't just like sit around and be like, this is not significant at all. No, it is significant. And next time, they won't actually do it in the dumbest way possible by like going into fucking Congress. And next time, they'll fucking direct it. They'll direct it at like an actual tangible goal. Okay? And if they don't do it in D.C., they'll do it at fucking state capitals, which they have already. Fuck what the liberals are saying. But if you don't see that this is like systemic failure at the broadest scale, and it's like actually fascist organizing, showcasing how easily and how easily they can, as a consequence of like the actual checks in our system, not working to stop them, but actually collaborating with them. I don't know what else to tell you. This is some American Horror Story shit. They literally had a season of what you're describing. What, dude? Come on, don't do that. Don't fucking do that. Oh, this is just like a TV show.